It's 11:33 a.m. and we are starting the event right now. But before I get started, I want to remind us that this event is a side event of the United Nations Commission on Social Development 59 section, which kicked off since Monday. A lot of events have been held globally, and Ms. Caricom Foundation International is privileged to also be part of people hosting the side event at this commission. Usually the commission for this, but because of the COVID, the commission is held virtually, and we are privileged. We are happy. We're enjoying the presence of everyone who is across the world and has interest in trying to move the agenda on the decade of action. Now, the theme of this commission this year tends to look at the role of technology on the social development and well-being of all. Now, of course, we know that the COVID-19 has moved us from one normal to a new normal, trying to get us acclimatized with technology and to address issues. So technology seems to be a very important aspect of our development in the recent times. But just as the Secretary General has mentioned in his report that digital in the new normal, the online platform for public procurement, including sustainable procurement procedures based on the Sustainable Development Goals, can encourage greater transparency. Foundational digital identification systems can support fairer and more efficient distribution of social protection benefits. Government and digital services have immense potential to further promote social development, but this can only be achieved if the safeguarding of international human rights is designed into its institutional architecture. He also noted that given the potential of digital technology to promote social development and people's well-being, access to it is an important enabler for a socially just transition to sustainable development. Leaving no one behind means leaving no one offline. So technology has to be important. No one should be left behind, including human needs as fashion. And when we talk about fashion, we don't talk about dressing, we talk about everything that includes the well-being of human being, nutrition, identity, and everything that deals with fashion, culture. So none should be left offline. Significant digital divide, however, currently exists between regions and countries. A little more than half of the world's population uses the internet. The other half, amounting to 3.6 billion people, does not. 4/5 of the offline population are located in Africa and in the Asia-Pacific region. 87% of individuals in developed countries are online, compared with 19% in the least developed countries. So if we are going by leave no one behind and leaving no one offline, then technology is a very essential in addressing fashion development in our communities. So digital divides are also clearly marked within countries. Already marginalized groups are overrepresented in the offline population, which is disproportionately made of women, people in rural communities, people living in poverty, and older persons, which has limited education and low literacy. So this is just the introductory to what we want to discuss today. And I'm happy that all of you have, those of you who are you accepted to be part of this noble event to share with us on the role of technology in trying to project fashion education across communities. So I want to welcome you and appreciate you for your time and for your energy. And I did say that we can be able to finish within our time. Usually we have 75 minutes and 9 minutes is gone already. And please try to try to base your presentation. In fact, when you are always watch your chat, because I'll be reaching out to you through your chat. And when it's time for you to 1 minute to your time, I'll give you a sign to to uh, to round off, so that we don't waste time. And I bet you that the staff of DESA, which is a Department of Economic and Social Affairs, are watching us, and we don't want to exceed our welcome. So without wasting much of your time, I want to call on Dr. Monica Sanchez, who is the president of Miss Caricom Foundation International and the visionary on Building Back Better, to give us the introductory, the opening remarks. Dr. Sanchez.
Good morning, all. I was saying before, our new way of life that takes us virtually it's very new, so it's very testing. And of course, I didn't even mute myself. Good morning, I am Dr. Monica Sanchez, and Visionary Building Back Better. Miss CARICOM International been around since 2004. Miss CARICOM International is committed to the decade of action. And it is our pleasure today to be a part of the Commission on Social Development 59th session, Role of Digital Technology and Fashion Education. Ms. CARICOM International Foundation, for COVID-19, a pandemic that changed our global concept of life and living, has pushed us into an emergency reorganizing and revisiting our social, spiritual, financial, and moral consciousness of how, why, and where our responsibilities are as human race, as it pertains to the United Nations agenda and the SDG goal in the decade of action. In moving forward, the three B's, building back better, a fractured society that is now crucially ill because of the effects of COVID-19 pandemic globally. Ms. CARICOM International Foundation is committed to the concept of the three B's, building back better our global society. We are consciously aware that this effect will involve the three C's: caring, compassionate, competent leadership, which must involve an updated social contract globally between international bodies such as civic, government, and private sector of society working together on one concept of improving the quality of life for humanity. This must involve smart goals, evaluation, and reflection on past and current state of being, not only for developing country, but also for underdeveloped countries. Accountability and a need for equality globally must be the goal, not only inspiring and believable, but realistic. During this pandemic of COVID-19, technology took center stage, as we're seeing right now. Information, education, and resources were channeled via technology in communicating and accessing vital arenas necessary in dealing on a global level to navigate recovery during this pandemic. Technology is involved in every level of recovery, as we know. Quarantine and social distancing has been a major requirement in dealing with this pandemic, and lack of interaction and communication often result in deficiency. But because of technology, as you can see on this very forum that we are right now, we are still able to interact and communicate. Technology is essential as we continue this process. It is the tool that is needed in building back better our society. Ms. Caricom Foundation focuses on cultural education in rural areas, and we use fashion as an identity in which to execute and our objective, which is addressing the 5 Ps. The 5 Ps, as we know: peace, planet, prosperity, partnership, and people. Peace, a better understanding and sharing education of each other's culture, and a state of encouraging acceptance, which engage a better concept of having peace. This is our focus for our cultural events that we have. Planet, education and reducing carbon emission. Prosperity, an initiative for economic growth. Partnership, relationships with government, civic, and private sector in order to unify and educate the people. For example, right now, Ms. Caricom, in the Gambia, because we did so many projects during the COVID-19 via technology, communicating with our members on the ground, we were able to distribute bread and food and different things. And technology, even though we are a fashion oriental organization, we have connected with the grassroots people, and the government saw us and engaged. So this is a cooperation of partnership working with civic organization, people on the ground, and the government. So now Ms. Caricom was given an opportunity to promote the independence celebration in the Gambia that we are currently doing right now. Technology play an important role in Ms. Caricom programs and projects in 2020. Amidst the pandemic of COVID-19, we were able to communicate with over 7 countries in 3 continents, including Gambia, Nigeria, Panama, Venezuela, Guyana, India, United States, and others, in providing programs that allow us to focus on the 5 Ps: peace, planet, prosperity, partnership, and people. Our campaign target marginalized people and those in rural areas, which allow us to distribute over 1 million grain of rice, 20,000 loaves of bread, and PPP equipment with cultural educational materials, simplifying information with necessary instructions on dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Caricom Foundation is an advocate for community events in which educational materials on the 5 Ps are distributed and showcased. One of our programs is our international pageantry, which allows the interaction of citizens to share, educate, and experience their cultural similarities and differences. This has been a successful venture in addressing sensitive cultural issues on gender and human rights, including topics such as gender mutilation, early marriages, education of the girl child, and equal opportunities to all. Technology continues to allow us to function successfully with our events, as a lot of our events were done overseas. And in order to achieve this, we had to use uh, technology: cell phones, computer, internet, Wi-Fi, cloud, and all those technology, and to continue to share educational resource and help marginalized areas in promoting the 5 Ps. As of 2020, Miss Caricom has successfully hosted over 100 cultural events since 2004. On April 3rd of 2021, Miss Caricom will host its second cultural pageant in the Gambia, where we successfully in 2020 addressed the issues of the 5 Ps during the first such event in Africa, bringing together government, civic, and private participants under one umbrella to examine cultural similarities and differences in promoting the 5 Ps. It is an honor and privilege as Gambia celebrates its 56th Independence anniversary in the month of February, currently in 2021, Ms. Caricom will be the host of this event, acknowledging our success in the region in cultural communication and education in addressing the 5 Ps. And we see where technology, television, and emails and Facebook and all these new technology play an important role in marketing us. So we're not only helping the people on the ground through our fashion interaction with our educational issues, but we're doing this in a larger scale through technology. We must, however, be careful and vigilant in moving forward with technology, as it is a plus and essential to our success in building back better, but can also be detrimental and harmful to our progress as we build back better. The 3 C's, caring, compassionate, competent leadership, must engage at full throttle on a global consciousness of all society development and underdeveloped societies in providing aid and resources to community. Leave no one behind must be our motto on creating a balance to our fractured global society. Our goal must be building back better under the care of global unity, striving for equality of all people, aligned with United Nations SDG goals. I want to say that technology has enabled us to keep functioning and also to reach out into rural areas globally. Without the use of these technology, we would not be able to communicate. We would not be able to engage people on the ground. But we were limited as to our engagement because technology has also put handcuffs on some people who are unable to access technology, who are unable to access what you call it, Wi-Fi, or have access to cell phones. So we have to be very careful and we have to be very mindful and we have to be very engaged as a global community and a unity so that we can leave no one behind. Some of my panelists will extend on this concept, and I hope that at the end of this, we would have been able to have a better insight in building back better with technology and fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. That's a milestone of the journey of Miss Caricom International. And through technology, the organization have been expanding its horizon to different communities. And also, interestingly, Ms. Caricom has also utilized technology to host a pageant, of which in the last 2020 contest, someone from Venezuela won Miss Caricom International. And that was through technology. Without that, it wouldn't have happened. So you see that technology has been able to even address social interests in terms of pageant, fashion, exposure, and participation, especially among the younger generation. So we thank Ms. Caricom for its efforts to let us know that even if the new normal is in place, that this could possibly be achieved through technology, especially when it comes to do with technology. They also, through technology from here, organize a nutrition drive, and together with kindness during the COVID hit times in New York, and reach out to people addressing nutrition, how to eat well, and be able to build their immunity in order to avoid the crisis of getting into the COVID-19 crisis. So it's a very important aspect that technology is also expanding and also inclusive of all just as the US Secretary General said, leave nothing offline. So technology is also not being left offline. So we thank Ms. Caricom Foundation for setting that pace on this during these important pandemic times. And thank you for being within 10 minutes. Without wasting much of your time, I would like to um, inform that rapid technological change with little strategic directionality towards inclusive and sustainable development risk entrenching existing inequalities while introducing new ones. Given the high concentration of resources, skills, and capacities needed to leverage digital transformation, further digitalization and data-driven development risk, widening digital divides, and income inequalities, rather than contributing to more inclusive and sustainable development. Ironically, those on the wrong side of digital divide are often the social groups whose well-being could be most improved by those technologies. With this, I want to welcome the keynote speaker, Dr. Terence Blackman, who is a professor of computer science and mathematics at the City University, New York.
So good morning, colleagues. I thank you very much for inviting me here today. First, let me thank the Caricom Foundation, Dr. Ada Okika and Dr. Monica Sanchez and the committee for inviting me to share some remarks on digital technologies, fashion, and social development. It is indeed a pleasure to be a part of this activities related to the Commission on Social Development, this 59th session, in particular as it relates to the Division for Inclusive Social Development. My remarks this morning are going to try to connect. I'm going to try to connect in a really nice way digital technologies, fashion, and social development. Part of what I'm going to aim to do is to sort of raise some questions and to set how this could be extremely useful for us going forward. So one thing I will try to do, even though I'm mindful of the time, I want this to be in a leisurely sense. I don't want us to feel rushed. I think these are very important and deep ideas that are being thought about in this moment, and this connection of technology with fashion and social development is a very interesting one, and one that requires sort of a really nice exploration. So, as is always when I come to say something, I think it's always important to say who you are. I am a professor of mathematics at Medgar Evers College. I've worked at Medgar Evers College for the last 30 years. Medgar Evers College was established in 1969. It is named after the famed civil rights leader, Medgar Wiley Evers. It is located in central Brooklyn. It has a mandate. It was founded by the community, and it has a mandate to speak to the educational, socioeconomic, and educational challenges of central Brooklyn. It is a senior college in the City University of New York, and as such, we like to think of ourselves as, folks who solve the challenging problems of urban higher education. And my really deep insight after almost 30 years in this context is that if we want to solve some of the problems, we, in mathematics certainly, we want to create and sustain sort of locally research-driven mathematical communities. And it's in that context that I want to frame our question of digital technologies, fashion, and social development. I think that if we want to fully utilize the strengths that come from fashion and amplify those strengths by way of these digital technologies, we will need to think about local research-driven communities that focus on these intersections. And local in the sense has just been described, where Caricom Foundation works in Gambia, it works in Venezuela, it works in Nigeria. So in all of these places, there are local dynamics that play. And if we are going to fully realize the potential, then we need to ensure that these things are embedded in local infrastructures globally. I always share in this photo, I didn't share a photo of Medgar Evers himself, but I shared a photo of the wife of Medgar Evers, Merle Evers, and you know, I've had the opportunity to meet her, and I'm always so inspired by her example of, you know, losing her husband in such a tragic way. And so part of what I also want to say about how we think about integrating digital technologies, fashion, and social development is that this has to be something that is married to communities in a substantive way. We can't kind of conceive of a research agenda. We can't conceive of a program around digital technologies, fashion, and social development if we are not embracing this from the inside out. And I will share a bit more about what I mean in the context of the inside out. So it's always good to define what you're talking about. And so what do we mean when we say digital technologies? What we mean are the electronic tools, the systems, the devices, the resources that generate or store or process data. So, you know, we're talking about social media, we're talking about online games, we're talking about multimedia and mobile phones, we're talking about digital learning as any type of learning that uses technology. And as has been described in the concept note for this program, digital technologies really offer new opportunities for addressing the three core objectives of social development as has been set out at the Social Summit, namely eradicating poverty, promoting full and productive employment, and fostering social inclusion. We have seen in this moment of COVID, you know, just the proliferation of the utilization of digital technologies, certainly in the area of higher education. In one moment, our entire lives changed. And we have spent the last year literally teaching and doing everything that we had done previously in class, in classrooms with people. Now we've been doing them sort of in a digital sense. And so there are two lessons to be drawn here, and I want to kind of emphasize them. One, change is possible. First step, actually three thoughts. Change is possible. Second step, change is possible rapidly. In March of 2020, the entire world changed, and it changed rapidly. And we were able to, in some moment, in very short order, reconfigure our entire lives in completely different manner. So I want to reiterate that. Change is possible. Change is possible very, very quickly. And then the third sort of point I want to emphasize here about these digital technologies, deep and fundamental change is possible. So these three things, change, people often think, oh, it's so hard to change. What the COVID has shown us is that change is possible. What it's also changed is that it's possible rapidly. The entire world is functioning in a completely different manner than it was functioning in December of 2019. And not just the entire world, but our entire way of living has been reconfigured in this regard. And so these are the lessons that I think that digital technologies show us. Change is possible, deep change is possible, and it can happen rapidly. So to the challenge of digital technology, fashion. What do we mean when we think about fashion? And so at the deep level, I think what fashion does is it has this ability to change and shape our lives through the way in which we personalize it. So we all wear clothes, we all sort of accessorize footwear, our makeup, or hairstyles, the way we engage. This is all fashion. And in a sense, it is this intrinsically deep human relationship between us and our fashion that really makes it extremely political and extremely important in this context. It is because of this deep human relationship that we have with its fashion, that marrying that relationship of humans to fashion with the digital technologies can indeed produce the social change, that the social development that we're asking for. So you get the point. I trust that I'm making the point that I am, that the essential point that I want to be taken away from this is, how do you connect digital technologies and fashion to drive social development? So to kind of reinforce our digital technologies, these are our electronic tools, devices, gather, we store data, or social media, online. I mean, this program that we are doing right now is being live streamed someplace, it's being recorded, it will be disseminated. So these digital technologies can genuinely amplify what we're doing. Fashion is sort of the way we shape our lives through how we dress, through the way we live, through the accessories we buy, and then what are the core objectives for our social development? Well, we want to eradicate poverty. We want to promote full and productive employment. We want to foster social inclusion. So how do we thread digital? So this is the challenge, is to sort of thread these digital technologies through fashion into these core objectives of social development. And this is the challenge of the talk. This is what I, in a way, wanted to leave with you. And so let me go to my next slide. And this was mentioned before, but I included this slide so Dr. Okika mentioned precisely this information in her introduction. And part of that was to kind of give a sense of the challenge. And so this is precisely what I want you to see, is what is the challenge? The challenge is we have these digital technologies, we have this industry broadly called fashion, and then how do we kind of use digital technologies, how do we leverage digital technologies in our fashion to address the core developmental challenges of eradicating poverty, promoting full employment, and fostering sort of inclusive development? Well, what's the big thing that we have to consider in that context, and where should we be directing our efforts? Well, a little more than half of the world's population, we know from the concept note for this program, uses the internet, and the other half, amounting to about 3 billion, almost 4 billion people, does not. And we note that 4/5 of the offline population located in Africa and in Asia Pacific region, 87% of individuals in developed countries are online, compared with just 19% of folks online in the least developed. So what we also know, and I think this is extremely powerful in bears amplification, is that these digital divides are also clearly marked within countries. The already marginalized groups are overrepresented in the online population. So think about what that means in education, think about what that means in health, think of what that means in the economy, and you begin to get a sense of how insightful this connection of fashion to the digital technologies, and how potentially transformative it can be in terms of helping people to move from poverty, to deal with the elderly, to deal with folks with limited education and with low literacy. So I think this digital divide is something that really ought to be amplified. Gives us a sense of the scale of the challenge that we face. And then I wanted to turn to something slightly different. So I think my point is now clear. These digital technologies can amplify fashion's ability to change and shape our lives. And so these digital technologies can amplify our abilities to eradicate poverty, to promote full and productive employment, and to foster social inclusion. And this is the point I wanted also to. Fashion is one of the world's largest industries. It is valued at over $3 trillion. And now the point to be made, at least one point to be made within this context, among all of the others that we have discussed, it is estimated that about 98% of workers in the fashion industry do not make a living wage. And so at first level, I think what we want to be thinking about is how do we use our how do we leverage the fashion industry in its global dimension to begin to raise the wages of workers across the world? And this is an extremely important thing. And as we begin to do this, how does the fashion industry begin to educate around this? As you do this, as individuals become empowered, as the lives of people become kind of engaged in a very strong way around the fashion industry, then I think we begin to see the social development. We begin to see the social development that we seek. Now, I know the time is slipping away, and I want to close on two fronts. And so, if you'll permit me, so I was introduced in the sense around, I'm professor of mathematics, but I'm also a visiting professor at the Department of Aeronautics and Astronautics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And so you might ask naively, why is fashion important in the world of aeronautics and astronautics? The part of what I'm trying to give is a sense of sort of removing fashion just simply from our planet Earth and understanding that as human beings move out from the planet, fashion is not just something that is locally confined to the Earth, but our ability to move beyond the planet is engaged with fashion. So one of the things that human beings are thinking about doing is going to Mars. And if human beings have to go to Mars, then they can't wear the sort of spacesuits that we currently see in our current level. So we have to build suits that do a number of things differently. And so what I've shared here is the kind of suit that is being designed by one of the MIT faculty members in the Aero Astro group. His name is Davin Newman. And as you can see, its essential thrust is an aesthetic one that combines the aesthetics with the science that is necessary for us as a human species to push beyond this Earth atmosphere. And so what I wanted to do was to sort of stretch your mind. Often when we're thinking about fashion, we're thinking, fashion is just the clothes that we wear. It's just the shoe that we have. It's just the way we style our hair. It's just the kind of, maybe the way we lay out our food. But it's also deeper. It's about the kinds of materials that we use, the particular scientific properties that our materials have. It's about the endeavor of human beings to think about the world and to think beyond the world. And so I wanted just to kind of end on that note, to kind of jolt you away from the concerns of just eradicating poverty, and saying we can accomplish all of that if we leverage or fashion effectively in the educational world. And here is an example of leveraging fashion as part of our plan to work on the planet Mars. And then finally, I stole this from Dr. Sanchez's presentation at the beginning. I wanted to end on something fashionable. So it's not just the ornamentation, but think of the geometries, think of the skills, think of all of the things that go into making this beautiful picture that you see before you, and think about how that gets leveraged in terms of social development, and think about how we can do that while stealing the words building back better with caring and compassionate and competent leadership. And so I thank you, and I will yield my time, and I hope I haven't gone too far. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Doctor. That's why it takes to have academics into programs to deliver. I love having them to give, especially the keynote, because they delve into the inside the basis of the theme that is being discussed. So in sharing, Dr. Blackman has able to let us know that change is possible, and it's also deep and rapid. So he also made us know that human relationship between us and fashion makes it political. And then he went into get us to the understanding that by connecting digital technology and fashion to drive social development, there is need to consider the core social issues as social inclusion, full and productive employment, and eradicate poverty. You see, so this is a very, very basic injection into the issues concerning fashion and technology. And of course, when you look at full employment, I know when I was out of school and we are looking for employment and you have letters for interview, they will tell you to dress this, look this, in order to go for interview. So that is a fashion. So even interview has a special way of fashion, and I always tell people that if Dr. Monica Sanchez is lost, look for anyone that has yellow hair. You get her, because she can never, this is her fashion, this is her identity. So this is you see, can you see her? So this is what we need to know, that it's also building a social life, because at times when you are too busy, take a time, go to Facebook, look at your Facebook, look at your social media, see what is going on there, see what people are bringing out, see fashion, see a lot of things that are, this is social media, it's technological, that is digital awareness. So we thank you, Doctor, for that, and we want to believe that we are bringing you into the Building Better, Back Better initiative, because we need to delve further into this after this program. So without, our time is running, and I want to call.
I just want to add something to that. Now that we have to induct Dr. Blackman into our Building Back Better, I want to say that fashion every day identify if you are a priest, if you're a doctor, if you're a police officer, every aspect of society is identified by fashion, because uniforms as we know it are all, even religion, as you might be a Muslim or a Jew or whatever, everything is identified by fashion. So fashion is everywhere. And even in our home, our curtains, our bed sheets, our table settings, so it is everywhere. Go ahead, I yield.
Thank you. Thank you. And digital technology can enhance productivity in the world of work and expand the way individuals search for work, companies recruit talent and goods, and services are produced and distributed. They can enable workers to work remotely and promote improved work-life balance while expanding income-generating opportunities. With this, I welcome Alima Albari, who is the of Alima Industries and Studio 92, right? Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Please, you have the floor.
Okay. Well, hello, I am Alima Albry, and I've been in the fashion and entertainment industry for about 18 years. I was working in Dallas, Texas as a talent agent, and I moved to Atlanta to take care of my father, and I just saw a need for inclusiveness in the modeling industry. So I started Alima Industries, where we invite models of all races, all nationalities, to be a part of fashion. So today I'm going to talk about the future of fashion and technology, and how I feel like technology is definitely like a central way to how we live, how we build, how we entertain, just how we survive. For me, before the pandemic, I was traveling all over the world working with youth, everywhere from Canada to Puerto Rico to Hawaii, and working with these young people, developing them in their art skills. And after the pandemic, everything just stopped. It was like a halt. It was no traveling, nothing. So we started to use technology to build and reshape this. So while we know fashion trends, they've been around for 1,000 years, we can't expect the fashion industry to stay the same. So now with this digital shift, we're doing a lot of our things online.
Mm.
One of our main consumers, or I would say clients, were fashion stores. So with fashion stores, they would hire our models for campaigns, for billboards, for advertising. And in 2020, I feel like that again all came to a halt because fashion stores were closing left and right. There were like over 11,000 fashion store closures. Um, there were companies all over the US and all over the world that were just closing, hundreds and thousands of them, which means no jobs, which means no future income from that world. So in order to change that narrative, the fashion industry has went to technology and started to do more online stores. So there's less brick and mortar stores, but we have more online jobs, even down to the models. They can do virtual fashion shows. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but this week is New York Fashion Week, and next week as well. And a lot of my models are doing virtual fashion shows. So they're giving opportunities to models in Nigeria, to models in, America, to models in South Africa. If they have the look and what they feel like, the uniqueness, they're giving them an opportunity to do the virtual fashion shows. We also see that designers are doing a lot on YouTube. So they're actually like learning, self-educating themselves how to design and sketch if they can't afford to go to school right now during a pandemic. So they're using a lot of social media and technology to learn. As well as we've seen a very big increase in fashion designers doing the mask for the pandemic. So a lot of these designers are including masks in their everyday, basically their designs to complement the outfits that they're creating. So these technologies and the the way we can use the internet to apply for small business grants, to apply for loans, are allowing businesses like mine to still sustain during a pandemic. Where do we see opportunities for career growth? Really, in my industry, a lot of like graphic designers and content management companies are booming right now because content is king, in technology. It's a really big space to be able to design your online stores, to push merch, to promote your models. Last year alone, did you guys know that Amazon grossed like 30 billion in sales? So after the pandemic, Amazon became one of the leading places to push apparel. So $30 billion, that's a lot of money for a company to make, hiring over 1 million employees. So I think what I see a need for is that we do these online platforms within our communities too. So maybe you had a boutique and you had to close down. You can go to an online platform to still push your products into market. One of the next things I wanted to talk about is how we will design and showcase fashion. I'm sorry, I'm hearing like feedback. Can you guys still hear me? Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about how we will design and showcase fashion in the future. Some of my predictions that I see a lot is a lot of the modeling agencies as well as ad agencies are going to everything digital. So the advertising, they're doing digital billboards, they're doing social media ads. Fashion designers are using technology to promote and sell. So I don't know if you guys always see on Facebook, there's like the sponsored posts and the ads. A lot of people are taking advantage of that to sell and to build their company. So I feel like it's very important that we continue to promote and push technology that way and fashion. Let's go to the next slide. These are some of the models I actually work with that you're looking at, if you can see on the screen. But I want to talk about health and wellness because in our industry, a lot of the models are subjected to rejection. Every day when they go to audition, someone says, "Oh, I don't like your look. It's not good enough. You're too different." So what we've seen in 2020 is they started to embrace models from all over the world on these online platforms, and it has just skyrocketed their confidence. It has helped their mental health. It has created ways for them to generate money and to work in this business. The first model you see, Tara, she's from Atlanta and she has alopecia. So since she was 3, she had no hair at all, like not even eyebrows. So she started to just feel really low about herself. She had low mental health, and we discovered her online. We thought she was beautiful. Like, we want to work with you. You're amazing. And just meeting with her and working with her, she has been much more like healthier. She has started to love herself mentally and physically. The second model, Original, he suffers from vitiligo. Again, that's something that he was born with. He cannot get rid of that health issue. But when we look around in the fashion industry, this model, Winnie Harlow, she has inspired people all over the world because with her vitiligo, she literally became like America's Next Top Model. So people started to see that no matter what race you are, what nationality, how you look, you can be accepted. And I feel like that platform started with technology, with TV, with internet, with people seeing people who look like them. So we're using this technology to connect young people with their favorite icons and show them that you can actually, go out here, achieve your dreams, whether it's working in the fashion industry or whether it's doing, becoming a doctor. There are opportunities out there. We also want to discuss equality in the fashion industry. I feel like Dr. Blackman talked about women in the fashion industry. And in other countries, there are 60 million people around the world who are garment workers. 80% of that number is made up of young women ages 18 to 24. This is the same demographic of millennial women who consume Teen Vogue, and they consume fashion, but they're unable to use their voices and be heard because, again, they're working in warehouses, they're getting less wages, less benefits. So I was looking at an article from Remake World, and they talk about 5 things we can do to help. I won't go over each thing because it's a lot of wording, but I'll just give you guys a few of them, few insight on it. The first one is tell her story with dignity. So you see the woman in the turban. She may be working in a factory. She may be creating the same designs that we're wearing here, but she doesn't have the same access to the same benefits that we get here in the US. So we really want to take a stronger stance to speak up for these women, and also to help protect them against violence in their countries where some women do not have the opportunities or the platforms to escape those kind of environments. This whole document on Remake World, I would love for you guys to check out. It's very in-depth, but it gave me a lot of insight to things we can do to help women, as well as fight for gender equality. They have organizations on Remake World where you can donate and you can go in and just help be a part of the change and the movement. My last slide that I want to leave you guys with says, fashion and technology are increasingly merging and overlapping. Technology is coming to be viewed as an accessory because it's expressive in that way. So I have my model, the one who I told you has alopecia, and on this picture she has no makeup, just her raw. But what I love about it is, again, through her fashion, she can just express herself, and through technology, we're able to do the same. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Alima. That is interesting. This is bringing your practical experience to global attention, especially at this time. It's been nice hearing some of the work you do, and even participation right now on the New York Fashion Show, which is also being done through technology.
Yes.
Your team are participating digitally. This is interesting. So, and also you also let us know that fashion and technology are overlapping, you know, and in a way, yes, and it's true, because with the current trend, of course, they just have to do nothing but to overlap with each other. So thank you for that intervention, and I believe that you're also joining us in our initiative on building back better. Thank you. Oh, thank you also for doing that within your time. I like that. So without, again, we need to get to the last speaker, and I want to let us know that between 2013 and 2019, the gender gap almost closed in the Americas and narrowed in the countries of the Commonwealth of Independent States and Europe, but grew in the Arab states, the Asia Pacific region, and Africa. Women and girls are on average 26% less likely than men to have a smartphone. 70% in South Asia and 34% in Africa. They are also more likely to be sharing users rather than owners of technological devices in certain situations. Cultural norms in some regions may further restrict digital access for women and girls. With this, I want to bring in the current Miss Caricom International, the current queen of Miss Caricom, all the way from Venezuela, to share with us how she participated at the pageant from Venezuela and be able to win the Miss Caricom Queen for the next 1 year, and also to share with us her vision in trying to work with this Caricom initiative on Together with Kindness, globally through technology. Shaniza, password.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Okay. I'm a bit nervous, so I apologize for that. But good afternoon, everyone. I would like to firstly thank the Caricom International Foundation for having me. It is quite an honor to be able to participate in such an event. Well, first of all, my name is Shaniza Prasad, and I am 18 years old. And as was previously mentioned, I am Miss Caricom 2020. Last year in October, I had the opportunity of participating in the Miss Caricom International pageant. This event, which normally takes place in New York, was hosted online via Zoom due to COVID-19. Thanks to the advances in technology, as was previously mentioned, I was able to participate from my country, Venezuela. After winning the international contest of Miss Caricom, I took up the Caricom Together with Kindness campaign to help those that are in need and inform the younger generation about the objectives of the Decade of Action. It is no secret that during these times of pandemic, technology has helped more than ever before. In all aspects, it has enabled us to continue experiencing life as much as possible. I myself am living proof that thanks to technology, life goes on. And even during the COVID-19 pandemic, we can achieve many things. I had never thought of participating in a pageant, but thanks to technology, I was able to participate in one and I won. And it was all thanks to technology, really. This very occasion, the 59th session of the Commission for Social Development, is yet another example of how technology enables us to participate in events like these and to communicate with the world. It is presently contributing to the goals for the Decade of Action, creating opportunities for global integration during this COVID-19 pandemic. Technology plays a crucial role in the development of active societies, ensuring education and the possibility of remote jobs related to SDGs 4 and 8, respectively. During the campaign, we have used technologies to communicate with our sponsors, the organization based all the way in New York, the persons we work with to get the job done, and so much more. Technology has helped us carry out this campaign in more ways than one in many countries around the world, including Venezuela. However, and this topic was touched on by a few of the speakers already, there is still the issue of the accessibility to these technologies in many places around the world. Approximately 3.6 billion people don't have access to internet, which puts them in position of no access to education, up-to-date information, and jobs. And this puts in jeopardy the promise of leaving no one behind. This is why the SDGs are so important and why we, as a global family, must all work together to achieve them. Next slide, please. Because of my fashion identity and the passion I have for fashion, I desire to participate in this pageant, and thanks to technology, it allowed me to do so. Thanks to this and the Miss Caricom International Foundation, during the last year and part of this one, I directed the Caricom Together with Kindness campaign here in Venezuela. Fashion and technology have connected me to a bigger platform that allows me to work with those in need. We have used social media such as Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp to communicate with those around us and to share what we're doing with the world. In our past activities, we have worked in two main areas thus far. Firstly, minimizing hunger and ensuring that medical aid reaches those that are in the most vulnerable communities, linked to SDGs 2 and 3, respectively. SDG 2, zero hunger. End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. While it is on a smaller scale, we have distributed meals and food products to those who need it the most in various vulnerable communities, and we will continue to do so in the future through different programs. SDG number 3, ensure good health and well-being. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. In a few vulnerable communities, in company of a medical team, we have gone to do medical rounds of deworming, glucose level testing, and the checking of blood pressure, as well as offering medical aid and assistance. In the future, we would like to work on more areas that help the achievement of the SDGs. The Kindness campaign will continue to reach out to those that are in need. The Caricom Together with Kindness campaign will continue to create awareness in and empower the community on the Decade of Action, with focus on the 5 Ps: people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships of the SDGs, while utilizing technology for the universality of the program. With the Caricom Together with Kindness campaign, I, along with the people who have supported me thus far, will continue working towards achieving even more in the upcoming year, aligning our goals with the SDGs we work towards in the Decade of Action. On this slide, we can see a few pictures of the activities we have done so far. Thank you very much.
I think I'm beginning to understand what it takes to be a queen of a pageant. That was a smart presentation, and then you're already doing fantastic within the space of 5 months. I wonder what will happen in the next 1 year with you as the Miss Caricom International. It's interesting. Yes.
We do have a few activities planned out with which we hope to achieve during the next few months.
Very good. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And we admire what you are doing so far. In fact, you are lifting the banner of Miss Caricom up, and we wish you continue, because with the present drive and movement, global movement on Ms. Caricom, more is still needed to be done by you guys. So I thank you so much.
Thank you
We
guys for
have
having me.
a few minutes, about 3 minutes to go. And there's one particular issue that was raised on people are not able, the technological devices are not universally occupied. A lot of people don't have access. And I just want Dr. Blackman to share with us in 1 minute what is the strategy he thinks that could be utilized by Ms. Caricom to advocate for people, at least for us to have a great number of digital devices for people, especially among women and girls.
Yeah, I think the ability for women and young girls to have access to technology is really critical, and it is the thing that ought to be amplified. You know, I always think of Miss Caricom can be a catalyst in this context, and I would strongly encourage her just to start locally, like she has demonstrated in her presentation, to continue to do, and this is precisely the point I'm trying to make, that I think your local actions, the actions of Ms. Caricom, Shaniza Prasad in Venezuela, is the kind of thing that will magnify in this world of the online. I mean, you know, this conversation that we're having, I keep blinking because I think, you know, I know what you're doing there right now. And I think that providing those examples locally that makes sense, that we can then, someone in Atlanta can then look at and say, you know, this is something that we can do here in Atlanta. Someone in Brooklyn can look at and say, we can do it here with the twist that we need for Brooklyn. Someone can look at it in Bridgetown, Barbados and say, we can do it here. Someone could look at it in Lagos, Nigeria and say, we can do it here. And I think that that's the way the technology is enabling us. When we solve our problems locally, those solutions are easily accessible by a vast number of people around the world. So it's not like we're no longer in the world where when you solve it, we don't know about it forever until somehow we discover it later. When you solve it, you take a video, you put it on the internet, we all know it. And now we begin, hey, that's a good idea. That will work here. Let me fix it. So I want to continue to advocate that you solve the problems locally and then make those solutions available to us. And we will reach out and find ways to use them in our various contexts.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for your time, and it's interesting having you again. And we shall continue to have you more and more.
Well,
Just
you.
like Oliver Twist, we will not let you go. You know, Alima, do you have 30 seconds to add to something?
I definitely want to say thank you to all of you guys for having me and letting me share my platform. I want to continue to push the agenda for inclusiveness in the fashion industry, and inclusive of all models, all races, all cultures, and just giving them a platform to shine and to be recognized. So thank you guys for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
It's like you saw my presentation, because when you mentioned agenda for inclusiveness, it's like that's exactly what I just want to see.
I didn't even know.
Did you come to my bedroom to see my presentation?
No. Guess what?
So interestingly, the outcome from this from today's event is to develop a training curriculum that will include agenda for inclusiveness.
Yes.
You know, so that is fashion online training, and it has to include all of the SDG, especially SDG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. You know, so it has to do with employment and decent work. So these are what Ms. Caricom has programs to do. And that is all we said, agenda for inclusiveness through training, digital training, technological training. And we are proud to have the media director, Anthony Hill, who is a director for media, and to also expedite action in creating the platform to start the training. And it's not just like Miss Queen from Venezuela. She's building a lot of network, and if they want to hear the work, more detail about the work of Miss Caricom Foundation Internet, it has to be through digital. So it's all inclusiveness. And you are just all the way from Texas, I believe, will also be
Yes.
included. So we are working towards, and the next 1 month, the training will take effect. So I thank you, girl, for your presentation. I don't want
Thank
to
you.
just know that we are getting to get you involved. And Dr. Blackman, myself, and Dr. Monica will plan to have a Zoom discussion with you to fine-tune the curriculum before it gets out. So thank
Please,
you all.
please.
Thank you. And I want to give a call on Dr. Monica Sanchez to give a 30-second closing remarks.
I just want to say that it's really awesome. I want to mention that Ms. Caricom pageant online virtually was a challenge. Congratulations again, Ms. Shanisa Prasad, who was our top winner. We had 6 winners from 6 different countries in different categories. I want to mention that. We had 2 in Guyana, 1 in Panama, 2 here in the US. So it was challenging. And I want to mention that with technology, even during the pageant, there were a lot of tears and joy because when you're in a pageant and you're about to hear if you win or lose and what your space is, and suddenly the equipment that you have isn't working or you doesn't have one that can work, we experience a lot of emotions during that. And I want to say, because our winner in Panama, our bilingual queen in Panama, her phone just wouldn't work, and it was touching to see that she could not tell her, she could not present her platform, and it was very emotional. So technology, we have a very long way to go with our technology, so it has to be a universal thing because the people that don't have access to it, the countries that can't afford it, us at the UN, SDG, getting involved with the United Nations, we must advocate that these services be accessible, available to countries that are underdeveloped and communities that are vulnerable and marginalized. So I want that to be one of our focus as we leave this forum today. I want that to be something that we continue to advocate for because it's extremely important. And I want to say congratulations to all my winner. All of you couldn't appear on this program, but we love you and congratulations.
Yeah, someone can take a photograph of the screen snapshot.
Yes, it's done. Okay, thank you, my fellow panelists. Thank you, Shaniza. Thank you, Dr. Monica Sanchez. Thank you, Dr. Terris, and all the people that participated both on the panelists and the attendees. You are awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you all, and join us in this initiative.
Please look forward to seeing the video on Web TV. How can they access? We'll send a link.
Yes, when the link is out, I'll share it again with everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, and join us on Tuesday at 10 a.m. for another side event.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
a wonderful afternoon, colleagues.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.